G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I do hope you enjoyed today's bloody good content, and if you do, like the video, comment what you think about it, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss an upload. With that said, I'd like you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, let's get right into it. Cheers. My boyfriend's friend seems to be perfect for him, and it's driving me insane. So my boyfriend and I have been dating for about 6 months now. Our relationship with each other is amazing, and I can honestly say I haven't felt this way about anyone I've previously dated. A bit about him. He's sort of an introvert, in that while he's definitely social, he doesn't talk too much, and when he does, it's still very restrained, as in well past. He's this way with everyone, except this one friend of his. I'd sort of met her before because my best friend is a mutual friend of ours. My boyfriend and I actually met through my best friend. My boyfriend knows her because she has been his close friend for almost 5 years now. Apparently, they were neighbors in their university dorm, and they also had the same program. My boyfriend and her seem to share kind of a connection that I honestly can't say I do with him. He talks so much when she's present. His whole demeanor changes. The widest I've ever seen him smile has been when she's present. If there's a bunch of us in the room, the two of them will have these shared references and inside jokes. A couple of months back, my boyfriend had fractured his foot and was bedridden for the most part. She came to give him food literally every day. You could actually see his face brighten when he learned she would come. I sometimes feel that if you take away the sexual aspect of my relationship with him, it might not hold up against what he has with her. She broke up with her boyfriend a few months back too, and it's gotten to the point where I'm actively trying to set her up with someone. The worst part about this is that she's likable. She's attractive and has this dorky sort of humor that my boyfriend loves. The food she was making for him was amazing. My boyfriend is into science documentaries, and I'm not, so we've never really watched them. She doesn't seem that into it either, but she watched it with him, kept asking him stuff, and he was so enthusiastic in his explanations. I've now started doing stuff he wants, just to emulate that. What prompted me into coming here happened this weekend. She'd come over, and my boyfriend wanted ice cream, so we went to a nearby creamery. The two of them were done with their orders because they already knew what they wanted, which incidentally happened to be the same flavor, while I like taking my time testing stuff. There was an old lady with what seemed like her granddaughter who noticed that they had the same flavors and said, "Aw, you two look great together." My boyfriend corrected her, but God, did that hurt. I just don't know what to do. Are they even doing anything wrong? What do I even complain to him about? Am I in over my head here? In the comments, I feel that some comments are really inconsiderate to the OP, because if you'd place yourself in the shoes of the OP, I'm certain many would comment differently. I will not lie and say that I would have flares of insecurity as well if that would be my boyfriend. I can imagine seeing the inside banter between them that would make it seem like there is chemistry in the air. However, this could very well be something only your mind would focus on, while both your boyfriend and this female friend don't think of anything but having a good friendly time, especially due to the amount of time that they've known each other. If you are really uncomfortable with the situation, just bring it up in a calm manner with your boyfriend. It's okay to ask for reassurance sometimes. It doesn't mean that you're sabotaging the relationship. Communication is key. I'd feel insecure if I was in your position too. I think you just have to talk to him about how this makes you feel, or it's always going to drive you crazy. It doesn't sound like you suspect them of doing anything, so start by telling him that you believe he would never cheat on you and you're not accusing him of anything, but sometimes their interactions make you feel uncomfortable. From your perspective, bringing him food every day while he was injured is something that a spouse or partner would do. Also, tell him you notice that out of all of his friends, he only replies to her texts. Hopefully he understands where you're coming from. Make sure you're clear that you don't want to stop their friendship because you feel like she's your friend too. But you'd appreciate it if he was more aware about how this makes you feel because their friendship makes you feel like a third wheel. Good luck and keep us posted. OP says, thanks. Asking in this manner wouldn't come across as jealous? It's okay to feel a little jealous too. People assume that jealousy is the end of all relationships, but at the end of the day, it's just an emotion, one which can be navigated as well. Maybe you could imply that you're envious of the close relationship they have and that you would love to share more of his interests so that you could feel like a part of it too. Also, it's natural to be a little jealous here, as long as you don't cross any boundaries in their friendship and communicate openly. There's nothing wrong with feeling this way either. Not gonna lie, I couldn't handle that type of relationship dynamic with my significant other. Some of you are super secure and that's great, but for me, the paranoia and insecurity would just be overwhelming. OP, I'm not gonna give you any objective advice because this is all about personal comfort, but knowing myself, this isn't something that I could get over regardless of reassurance from a significant other. I'd personally rather date somebody that has close friendships with people of their same gender. I've been through such a situation, and it haunted me for the duration of the relationship. I didn't understand why he couldn't have such a connection with me, and that hurt me the most. I wanted what they had. I now have my best friend in my relationship, because that's what I always wanted, and that's what hurt me in that other relationship. Not them, him and her. His BFF. I hope this gives you some perspective. OP replies, this is very much how I feel. Like, I have friends too, and my boyfriend has friends besides her, including other female friends, whom he's close to as well. What he seems to have with her is on some other level though. Maybe I'm not able to put it into words, which is why I'm apparently coming across as super insecure and jealous, or maybe they're right, I am being that way. But you seem to have gone through a similar thing, so it's not irrational then. OP, in response to a long comment, says, I have male friends that I'm close with, and he's got female friends other than her, that he is close to as well. He's never had a problem with mine, and I've never had a problem with them. I guess it came across in the post that I have an issue with him having a female friend, or even close friends in general, but that's not the case. I'm perfectly okay with that. His guy friends come over fairly regularly, and sometimes it'll be his entire squad, including the girls, and it's literally never been an issue. His bond with her seems to be something else though. Even considering that they've been friends for 5 years or whatever, their compatibility almost seems to be seamless. They just seem to care about each other a lot, and I know that's not a bad thing. What sucks is that he's actually the best guy that I've been with. I really don't want to end this. I'd planned on being with him for the long run. Everything's been great except for this one thing, which really isn't his fault either. And now onto the update. Thank you for the advice in the original post. I had decided not to bring this up with my boyfriend. Some comments made the compelling point that they hadn't really done anything wrong, and I was letting my insecurities ruin a relationship. I don't want to ruin what's been an amazing relationship just because I let my mind run amok. Since then, I'd entered the relationship with a positive mindset. We spent all day together yesterday, doing stuff that each of us wanted to do. Today, I thought we'd try out a new Chinese place, which is near where he works. He's on work from home again. After the advice I'd received, I thought the new shared experiences is what would create the connection I wanted between the two of us. He told me that yeah, it's good. He'd tried it with her a few weeks ago, before the second lockdown had started, during lunch. They both work in the downtown area, and I guess they're close enough to meet up for lunch. I know it's a small thing, and going for lunch together with a friend is whatever, but it was just the fact that this was another shared experience lost that just got to me. I opened up to him about how I felt like an outsider when him and his friend were together, about how I couldn't relate to the stuff they talked about and all that. He was incredibly comforting. He apologized and said that he didn't realize it, that he should have figured that would be the case, and he's going to make sure that I don't feel that way. This is where I fucked up. I think I let my insecurities get the better of me here, and I got greedy. I told him about how I felt she was doing stuff that I should be doing as his girlfriend, that his relationship with her made me feel like a third wheel, and that sometimes I felt some boundaries were being crossed inadvertently. He said he was sorry about that, but she's a very important person in my life. We've been through a lot together in the last 5 years. He asked me why they couldn't be close as friends and what was wrong with her trying to help him out during a tough time, referring to the daily food stuff. I didn't have an answer to that. What he was saying just made sense. I told him that I wanted our relationship to mature further, that I felt I wasn't getting to be that important person in his life. He apologized and said he would make sure that I didn't feel that way, that it was his fault, but she shouldn't be punished for our mistakes. At this point, I started to cry for some reason. I can't explain it. Him putting himself at fault for everything is the last thing I wanted. He seemed so distraught during all of it, and I hate what this conversation did to him. I'm so ashamed that I let my insecurities hurt us like this. He kept comforting me. We've said that we're good, but there just seems to be this feeling in the air that I hate. I don't know if I just fucked it up, but I'm gonna make sure that it's not irreversible and not let my insecurities get the better of me. In the comments, it's a good thing that you were open and honest about it though. Stop feeling bad and thinking you messed up. Otherwise, this would have eaten away at you for so long, you could have ended up being resentful in the big picture. I don't think you're wrong for feeling the way that you feel in any way. I wouldn't be comfortable with the situation either, because it's really not normal. And I know a lot of other people would agree. I don't really have much advice, except that I feel bad for you that you're going through this and you keep beating yourself up over it. There is a real problem in your relationship and you keep directing it back at yourself, saying the things about you being the one that's screwing up and your insecurities are the problem and you feeling like you have to fix things when you should be exploring things together as a team. I can't help but wonder if after the conversation of your boyfriend feels this much anguish over the direction of the relationship and wondering how to move forward. I'm sorry you're going through this. I just want to jump in here to further emphasize what other posts have said. You're not wrong for feeling the way you do. We all have our own boundaries, and sure, some people from your old post may feel like your boyfriend and his friend aren't crossing a boundary, but that's for them. They aren't the ones in the relationship, you are. With that said, OP, you can then see if there's something you and your boyfriend can agree on. If it were me, I'd think about what my hard boundaries are and why they're a boundary for me. That way I can explain to my boyfriend clearly what I want out of all of this. You obviously care about his long-term relationship with his friend, so make it clear to him that you don't want to get in the way of his friendship, but you also want to be comfortable in your own relationship with him. Lastly, it seems to me that he doesn't really understand how his friendship with her is causing you discomfort. So this may be something you'll have to revisit. To me, it's clear that you see his friend doing things or filling in roles in his life which you're supposed to have. If that's the case, then explain that. He asked you questions you couldn't answer, so perhaps next time you talk, if you choose to have another talk with him, which I advise considering how you're feeling, think on these things deeply beforehand so that you can give him answers. Good luck and hugs to you. I've been through a similar situation, so I know these are hard to deal with. And OP replies, the friend thing could be in my head. I don't know. The best thing might be ignore my thoughts about her. He promised to help out in this whole situation as much as possible. I feel like the relationship is between me and my boyfriend, and we should just work on and enjoy that. OP, in a response to a deleted comment, says, by the time we reach a stage where we're getting married, our relationship would have filled whatever gaps there seem to be right now, and that's what I think me and him should be looking at going forward. Another comment says, babe, do you really want to be in a relationship that has 3 people in it? I bet if this guy breaks up, she's gonna be the next person he dates, and that's fucked up. OP replies, that's how I was thinking about it before, and I just think that I was being over the top about it. The relationship is between me and him, and that's all that matters. His friend shouldn't matter. I think it's best to ignore these kinds of insecure thoughts, and that's one thing that I need to work on. My boyfriend, on the other hand, will be making sure that I don't feel left out like he promised. OP, in response to advice about sharing experiences with boyfriends, says, thank you for the perspective. We're definitely in a much better place since we talked, even though at the time I thought it was a disaster. And I do find a lot of his hobbies interesting. I've slowly been learning chess and playing with him a lot, which is hard because he's on another level. He's been teaching me basketball, we've been sharing our music styles with each other, etc. The documentaries were one thing that I hadn't tried with him. They were 2 hours long, and now I've started doing that too. I just wanted to say this because a fair number of comments, not you, have been telling me that I'm not putting in enough effort in the relationship based on that one thing alone. And of course, I never wanted to ostracize her. I'm sorry if it came across that way. And now on to update 2. I'd been feeling a bit resentful about the advice at the time since I thought my convo with him had hurt our relationship, but it had honestly proven to be a windfall for it. He told me he was glad that I'd talked to him, and he didn't know before if I was serious about us, but he did now. We'd been creating a lot of us time, and he'd been going the extra mile for me since. We even went to a cottage for the entire Valentine's weekend. I wasn't feeling left out anymore, and felt our relationship was so much more secure, so I'd really come to be grateful for the advice here. For the past week, I felt like something was bothering him, but he kept saying it was nothing. I had noticed a few things though. He just seemed a bit uncomfortable sometimes, especially when he was on his phone. I wanted to give him space to tell me about it when he felt like he should, because I know he prefers that. He also goes to her place around twice a week, but now he was insisting that I come along too, and once when I initially said I wasn't up for it, he started trying to convince one of his best friends who live close by. She also hadn't come over all week. Like I had said before, I never wanted to ruin a friendship that means a lot to him, so I didn't think that maybe that's what had happened, but I didn't think too much about it. I also hadn't made the connection between this and my boyfriend feeling bothered. Yesterday, I asked him again what was bothering him and that I just wanted to help him. He told me that he had thought that he shouldn't tell this to anyone, but he'd thought about it a bit more and concluded that he'd want to know if he was in my position. That she had told him a week ago when they were just chilling that she used to have feelings for him, and that's what made her feel wrong in continuing her previous relationship. But that she was happy for him and us now, and that was in the past. I felt sick in the stomach when I heard this. I know it's in the past, but the fact that she felt strongly enough about him that it affected her relationship bothers me so much. It sort of got heated between us. I told him how I thought that it was super messed up that she said that, and am I supposed to just believe that her feelings turned off like a switch? He said he understood, but that she would never have said it if she hadn't gotten over it, and that she never acted on it. I was still so angry at the whole thing, and I was also, in a way, angry at her, because our relationship was finally in such an amazing place. We kept arguing for a bit, and he said that she'd also been feeling terrible about it. He also showed me a couple of texts he'd gotten from her. She was asking him if they were still friends, that she'd opened up to him because she felt like she could tell him anything, and that she'd been feeling as if she had ruined their friendship and she didn't want that to happen, and that it was in the past, and my boyfriend was telling her that it was whatever and apologized for acting weird. I know my boyfriend is trying to look at it from a compassionate perspective, and the texts did make me feel a bit sorry for her, but just the fact that while we were dating, she was into him while in our room just upsets me. Also, our relationship has been growing so strong, and I feel like I should treat this thing as a minor nuisance, but I can't stop thinking about it. I know in my last post, a lot of comments and some messages I had gotten in my inbox had told me that I was being crazy and insecure, and some even said that I should seek therapy. But isn't this a vindication of how I was feeling? I understand that people can't control who they develop feelings for, and true, she hasn't acted on it, but how do I get over the feeling of just wanting her out of our lives? Am I even wrong in thinking this way anymore? In the comments, quote, she would never have said it if she hadn't gotten over it, and that she never acted on it. That's very generous of him, but she did act on it every time she did something you felt was over the line and into girlfriend territory. Just because she didn't try to make out with him doesn't mean she didn't act on it. Those daily meals, those documentaries she wasn't into but watched anyway, I'm sure there are other things that made you want to ask who the girlfriend is. You guys had to have a come to Jesus conversation about it, right? She probably told him to test the waters and see if she should be acting on it. If he had given her a hint of interest, do you think her feelings would have just stayed in the past? OP replies, thank you. You're so right. All that stuff that I'd chalked up to her having a connection with him, and that other people in my previous post had chalked up to her having known my boyfriend for a long time, could have been her acting on her feelings. And I'll be honest, that thought makes me sick. OP, I read through your posts. Your boyfriend honestly sounds like a great guy, and he has put in the effort to grow and develop your connection. So the question is, do you trust him? Because her and her intentions are irrelevant here. If he's worth it and the relationship is worth it, relax and trust him to be the man that he's already shown you he is. OP replies, I do trust him, but it still makes me uncomfortable. And now onto update 3. After my convo with my boyfriend, when he'd told me about how his girlfriend used to feel and how he'd never felt anything towards her, I'd told myself that now I knew he didn't feel that way, this wouldn't bother me. But it did, to the point where I was actively harboring negative feelings about her in my head. A couple of Redditors had given me the advice that maybe have one last talk in a calm manner. So I did that yesterday when we were both in a good mood, with the intention of this being the last time I ever talked about her. I started off with telling him how I loved him and that our relationship had become so strong and that we were a team. So I didn't know why he felt he had to be uncomfortable alone rather than confide in me. He said that he loved me too, and that when his friend had shared her past feelings with him, he felt that she thought that it was only meant for him, which is why he was conflicted, but that I was right and that our relationship was strong enough that others should know that if it's something that indirectly affects our relationship, we would be telling each other about it. I then open up to him about how I felt so weird about the fact that she decided to put her feelings out there for him, that what if she still felt the same way, and the fact that there was a time when the three of us were in a room and from her perspective, the situation would be improved if I wasn't there, bothered me so much. He told me that she had sworn that her feelings were in the past, that they were both super high at the time, and she'd also had a few drinks. So this wasn't a calculated move on her part, that she'd never ever made a pass at him, and that she probably felt that she could trust him to not feel weird when she said that, and that if he acted cold towards her now, he'd be punishing her for being forthright. He said that he loved me, and I was his main priority, and he wanted to be with me for good. I said I felt the same way, that if I felt so uncomfortable about it, he would do whatever I wanted to feel comfortable, but if I could just give it another thought, and that I had no reason to be bothered, that if I trusted him, then there were no possible chain of events that could hurt our relationship, that she was one of his 4 best friends whom he trusted with everything and who'd been with him through everything in the past, that all he wanted was for me to just look at it once more. But he would do whatever he could to comfort me. I did think about it in that moment and decided that okay, I guess what he was saying did make sense. There is a chance that I'm wrong though, so I don't think I am, but I trusted him and I didn't want this to be a thorn in our relationship. So I said, okay, but she had to maintain some boundaries until I came to terms with it. He agreed. We agreed that she shouldn't get to be alone with him excessively until I'm okay with it, that I would always be the first port of call for him, and he said that if at any point I felt like lines were being crossed, he would reevaluate. It was an incredibly uncomfortable conversation for the both of us, and I hated every second of it, but I feel that it had to be done. I'm done with this chapter, and I don't want to take her name between us again. I'm thankful to all the people who gave me advice, and my relationship with my boyfriend has gone from strength to strength. Thanks, and I hope and believe that I will never have to post here again. And now, update 4. This is the most pain I've ever been in. I thought we were good. He told me he would distance himself from his friend and kept true to it this entire time. He reached out to her because of a death in her family, and even I said, yeah, of course you should do that. This was less than 2 months ago. Last night, I was told he had to give a relationship with her a chance. Everything sucks. And now for the epilogue, OP posting an r/off my chest. I swore I'd never use this account again, but I need a place to be pathetic. It's so stupid that I care about this, but I can't get past how completely unfair the world is. Seriously, karma is bullshit we all tell ourselves to be happy. The people who hurt you win in life. They go on to get married and start families. The kind of family that you had discussed with them and planned names for and thought about family pets. 4 years ago, my boyfriend, whom I'd been dating for almost 2 years, had talked about marriage with, a family with, decided he needed to try with his best friend and see where it goes. After I had brought up with him how their closeness made me uncomfortable. On Reddit's advice, by the way. I even think that it was a mistake bringing it up. I resent all of those who told me that it needed to be solved. I was happy with the way that things were. Instead, I basically told him, hey, your best friend's better for you than I am. Insane advice. I was with a mutual friend of ours yesterday, and we were discussing what to gift to one of our friends for her baby shower. I was like, it's my first baby shower, and she was like, she's only been to my ex and his wife's names before this one. I know she didn't mean it. She's never slipped up before. She apologized and told me to forget it. But I didn't even know they'd gotten married, let alone had a baby. I know I was stupid and hurting myself, but I wanted to. I unblocked both of them from everywhere. He didn't have much, but hers was my personal hell. They have a 4-month-old baby girl. Adorable. They got married in 2024. I went through all the pictures. Them smiling and laughing like a perfect family. Dad, mum, baby. No more having to break up with guys because they do the bare minimum in the relationship. No more having to go through the hell that are dating apps, hoping you find someone halfway decent. Nope. They found each other. Karma doesn't exist. God isn't real. Some people are destined to live their happiest life over the corpse of the one that you think you are going to have. In the comments, you got dumped. It happens. Put on your big girl pants and move on. It appears he has moved on to a happy marriage and now a baby. Be happy for him, not resentful. OP says, I did move on. It doesn't make it any less hurtful. Look, I know you're hurting at the moment, and what you've been through is so fucked up. I know it's so easy to give up and say fuck love and fuck it all, but baby girl, I promise you that your day will come. God is gonna place a man in your life who outshines your ex and that chick by 1,000,000, who makes you look back at him and ask yourself, ew, what the hell was I even thinking? Time heals all wounds, and you will get through this, and grow, and learn, and you'll be prepared when this man comes into your life and sweeps you off your feet. Love comes when you least expect it and stop looking. So be patient. Your fairy tale is coming. I've had a friend that had a similar crash out when his parents got divorced. And I guess maybe it was weird in this situation because the parents didn't tell him for like a year that they got divorced, so I can see having that news sprung up on you destroying your world for a bit, especially if you have a very high opinion of your parents. That's kind of how I relate and connect to this mindset that OP is in right now. And you know what? Yeah, I agree. Life is not fair. Life doesn't always go your way. Sometimes karma doesn't get people that you think deserve to have karma brought upon them. I think you handled the situation as it was throughout this saga very well, and I think you got some good advice there. But I do think he kind of took the coward's way out and stoked the flames of insecurity in you when he said, you know, I really need to give this relationship with my best friend a chance. Using your insecurities against you, where you were already like, you guys are kind of like dating right now and it's making me feel like shit. I really do feel like he used that instead of being like, hey, this relationship isn't working out anymore. I think we should break up and go our separate ways. Because to me, it doesn't sound like that conversation happened. But yeah, your insecurities were correct. There was an emotional overlap in all of these instances that those two were placed in. And it did turn into exactly what you feared. And no, you didn't cause it by speaking up. If a relationship collapses because, boundaries are discussed at all, then that relationship was never stable. And yeah, the unfairness and comparison is always gonna hurt. Seeing them get the life that you thought you were building with him, that is absolutely brutal. But their, happy outcome they have together, that doesn't invalidate your pain, and it doesn't mean you were the wrong choice. It just means he chose differently. I really think you should block them again, stop checking in on them, stop reopening that wound, and maybe focus your efforts on finding someone that does prioritize you, who will put you first and will give you the life that you want. Life really sucks sometimes, and I'm sorry you're going through this. But thank you for all of the updates, OP. Anyway, guys, I do hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.